and they were traveling 16, 17 hours on foot to a hospital because that was the only hospital, and their child had congenital heart defect.
Just to be seen by a doctor.
And bear in mind, the child can't walk.
So they mean lifted.
And they have a heart condition where if they walk 3 steps, they're out of breath.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Marriage Stories, where you'll be seeing Zach, Malik and Yahya responding to online stories of marriage at the same time as you guys. I'm getting used to this. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
Okay, so today's story is titled My Wife Ran Away.
Brother, what?
Bit of a sticky one still.
Yeah.
I was married to an evil woman.
Evil woman, bro.
We had a child together. It's getting worse.
Bro.
And one day, while at work, she leaves the home with a 1-year-old child alone in the house.
Wow.
So she left the house
And
and the child is still at the home by himself.
Oh, man.
That is very dangerous.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
At 1 year old. You know, 1 year old, he's not speaking. He's not even walking.
So
he's probably
dependent.
just crawling.
Dependent, yeah.
Very dependent. Baby was probably screaming the whole time.
Okay.
Since she left, neither her nor her family had reached out to ask about her.
Oh, she's just left fully.
She's fully disappeared. I had an uncontested divorce. Makes sense. Granted full custody. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And finalized an Islamic divorce after that. All they asked for was the green card to be mailed to them and the second half of the mahr.
Huh?
So she's this is America.
Let's add some more context.
Yeah. Green card, America.
So she's not from America.
Yeah.
He is from America. She's married him and asked for a green card. And also he's paid her first installment of the mahr.
Starting to make a bit more sense.
Yeah, he got hoodwinked.
She's gone. Yeah, normally it's the men that do this, but this time it's,
he got hoodwinked.
she went back to her home country
Okay. Yeah.
and just disappeared. She basically took the mahr, it seems like the money, after a year. She gave birth and she ducked.
So this story arc I've heard a few times in different scenarios, right? So in my experience, like it's like, you know, sister who's from a less economically developed country finds a man in an economically developed country, and then, you know, as soon as she's able to get that passport or whatever it is, like a residency, she's gone. In the extreme cases like this, she's prepared to have a child with the man, which is crazy because straight away I'm thinking,
But
where's
bro,
her-
women back home are willing to do it. Like, they're more...
the fitra,
the mental fortitude is crazy,
Not
bro.
only that,
They'll
but
go
like
through mad things.
going
just for
against
what they
their
want.
natural instincts, which is the fitra, the maternal instincts, bro. In order to get to that goal, it just goes to say
To
that
abandon your child as well.
madness.
Yeah.
To get to that goal, you're overstepping your nature. It's mad.
What's with this green card? Why is it so like... Why is everyone
Isn't it
after
freedom to be in the US?
In the
Yeah.
US, you've got
Yeah.
a green card. It's completely you can.
Is that for life? Or
I think so.
Well, actually, I'm thinking, yeah, it
Residency
is.
for
But
life,
I'm thinking
yeah.
now, if you have a child in the US, they are automatically a US citizen. So why?
but they're not.
But
Yeah,
the mum's not. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100%.
But that's her point, right? That's why she had the child. Now it's permanent. It's not. Even if she leaves the husband, she still has rights to be in the US because of the child.
No, but she got the green card through the marriage. That's how you get the green card in the first
But
place.
she can keep it through the child, no?
That's what I'm saying. That might actually be why.
That's a good question.
That
You guys
actually
should
might
let
be
us
why.
know about that, actually. I'm looking at you guys right now.
Let us know
Any
in the
American
comments.
viewers, educate non-American viewers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
what-
pin
that's
it.
what
We'll
I'm
pin that comment on the top of this video, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. May Allah reward you. Don't forget to subscribe.
So today, after many months, I get a message from my ex-father-in-law. So her father has now messaged asking for pictures of the child and how his health is. So this is after like, I would say probably like 6 months, judging from
Yeah.
the scenario. So now he's thinking, should he send them or not? Because
Yeah. He's got
essentially they've
yeah.
cut him off and
abandoned the
disappeared.
Kid, yeah.
So, yeah, this is the issue now. For clarity, he has one daughter. So it's a daughter. His ex left the house and her family out of the blue asked for a divorce. So he's saying there's not even any reason that he can think of why this happened. Just out of the blue. So it seems like, judging from what you're saying, this was, as you said, this was planned prior. There's a green card.
That's
There's
cold,
some money.
bruv.
It is cold.
SubhanAllah. I just want to throw one thing in here, and Zach, I'd love to hear from you as well, bro. As somebody who's been out to these, impoverished places as well. I was out
What places?
No, for example, places.
I know what he means.
No,
Well, the viewers don't know what he means. And
we
I
talk
don't know
about
what he means.
from my experience, for example, seeing refugee camps, for example, right? Bro, these people were willing to risk life and limb to come to the UK, and most of the time they come to the UK, they're underwhelmed. They're like, "What's going on here?" Like,
I don't know if it's right to paint all refugees
saying
in the
this
same
is-
brush.
No,
Obviously, this is an exceptional circumstance.
He's not saying that. He's not saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
I'm saying like I've seen personally, right? They'll risk their life to come to
What
these
poverty
places.
does to
Poverty, exactly.
Poverty makes you do things that you'd never do before.
Exactly. الشيطان يعيدكم
That's
بالفقر.
why actually the dua of the Prophet ﷺ is to ask Allah to for you to save you from poverty.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Shaitan, he calls you from poverty. So it will go to the extent that you start to glamorize the dunya and all that type of stuff, and then you end up your iman leaves
It's
you
two
as well.
things actually, not just poverty. Poverty and war.
War.
War does something psychologically to you that completely changes everything in your wiring. Because let's put
Survival.
let's assume. So, for example, even in this situation, let's assume that it's either one of two things: poverty or war.
War, yeah.
Cool. First one, war. Let's say they're brought up in a society, they're brought up in a world where all they see is bombs being dropped, people dying. The fact that you're able to get an opportunity to go to another land where you're safe and you get provisions and so on and so forth, in your head, maybe you're in that scenario and you're thinking to yourself, this is better than what I have. Poverty is the exact same thing. I can't eat, I can't sleep anywhere, I have no job, I have no livelihood. Everything that every other person, that each and every single one of us here right now take for granted, they have. Cool, I'm going to do this evil thing, but in the long run, there's going to be a benefit to me here. Yeah. The only thing that I can't really understand, and I don't think you can even try and assume any other thing other than maybe a mental health condition, to leave a 1-year-old child.
Yeah, it's a madness, man.
What would you say, Yani? You've traveled to some of these places.
Yeah. I'm not. By the way, I'm gonna say clear cut as well. I'm not saying that people from these places do these things. I'm just saying it could
happen.
Be a thing.
It could be a factor.
And I'm also not saying that this is okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they will do this.
Well, just to give an example to the viewers so they can understand where you're getting this from. Which countries have you visited? And
I've visited East Africa. I've visited West Africa. I've visited parts of Africa as well. And I've seen things that...
What's the worst thing that you've seen in your travels there?
The worst thing that I've seen? Okay. So I was in... One of the worst things, I won't say the worst thing. I don't think I could even say it. I was in Egypt, and this is down south, so around Qina, around Luxor, and there were families that were selling their wealth, like anything they had, jewelry, everything they had, and they were traveling 16, 17 hours on foot to a hospital, because that was the only hospital, and their child had congenital heart defect.
16,
17 hours on foot. And we're talking 2019. Yeah. Stories like this we hear at the times of the Prophet, where they'd walk for ages and ages and ages. They would take a camel and so. We're in 2019. And people are walking 16, 17 hours on foot.
Just to be seen by a doctor.
And bear in mind, the child can't walk.
So they mean lifted.
And they have a heart condition where if they walk 3 steps, they're out of breath. So they're being lifted. You're a father, so you understand this as well. They're being lifted in their arms or God knows where. And they're taking their whole family. They've sold all of their wealth to be able to treat this one child.
SubhanAllah.
So you know what? Poverty, you're right. Poverty does survival, I think. So poverty, it means survival to try and get out of it. So maybe stuff like this can happen. I'm not saying that
Of course, this is not a reason for
for that to
this type
happen.
of
Yeah,
stuff to
yeah,
happen.
I'm gonna
And
give
not also this is not something that commonly happens.
yeah.
This can happen with anyone, right?
Mhm.
This is
One
clearly
example.
a mental health issue.
So that's like the good assumption type of thing. Like, well, what could be the desperation? But there's one example on a show of a friend of mine actually. Subhanallah. He got married to so he's Pakistani background. Got married to a sister from Pakistan, not relative, but that sister came in, and there was a bit of like kind of. He wasn't really that happy, but it was going by. Alhamdulillah, it's going by. The statement comes to mind where somebody came to Umar radiallahu anh and asked, he says, I don't love my spouse anymore. And Umar radiallahu anh says, what did he say, Taha? He said that our whole house is built on love alone.
Yeah.
What about respect and mutual, or something like this? I can't remember the saying. But anyway, al-muhim, going back to the story, what happened was very similar to this. One day, my man, subhanAllah, isn't able to come into the home. It's locked. It's locked. The room upstairs is locked, their room. And he's a bit like, what's going on? And it's out of the blue. And then suddenly, police turn up. And my man's thinking, why are they turning up? And then they put him in cuffs. Like, why put him in cuffs? And he realizes later on, fast forwarding a little bit, his wife at that time called the police to say that she's being locked upstairs and she's being beaten. She's been kept at home. Now, fast forwarding the story a little bit. He's now in jail. He's got bail. And then there's no communication. But, qadar Allah, the phone of that, his wife at the time was left in the home. He managed to unlock it somehow and he sees texts, subhanAllah, between her and another man. And they've got a child. This is a brother that I know for a long time, subhanAllah. And this is another reason. And that woman, she had managed by then to get residency and all that type of stuff.
Oh, so she was from
back home, Pakistan, comes into the UK.
How did she
does
get
all this?
The you guys say like jurra, right?
Jurra, yeah. How did she have
that?
How did she have that? So this again, the same question that Zach asked, Yahya asked, you're asking about this woman. How can she let go of her child, a part of her? The word that comes from juz, it's a part of you. How can you let go of that? And I think the only reason we're trying to come to fathom this, as Zach is mentioning, poverty, I'm thinking love and lust of another person. There has to be a very strong driver for a woman or some sort of a sanity check.
So, okay. There's situations now that we can see that these happening. Maybe not the exact same scenario, similar to maybe what you've said, where someone's gone into a marriage and they've got bad intentions. They've got plans, exit strategy. How can we know in the talking stage if someone's got bad intentions or alternative intentions before getting married to them?
It's a hard one,
That is a tough
That
question.
that
Is tough.
My quick thing.
lie detector test.
My quick thing is two things. And wallahi, I wish somebody told me this in all these decisions I've made in my life when it comes to work or something like that. It's very, very simple. Islamically, we say two things. Istikhara, istishara. Right? Istikhara, seeking counsel with the one who created us. Yeah, that means praying 2 rak'ah and then making dua, Allahumma inni astakhiruka bi'ilmik, to the end of the dua. Then the other thing is istishara, which is brothers, mashallah, like you, alhamdulillah, we've got ourselves and we've got others as well around us, asking them as well, getting them to see. For example, rahimahullah ta'ala had a very nice Pathan auntie, right? Rahimahullah ta'ala, she passed away during COVID, but she had something called basira, insight. Yeah, she could tell how somebody is. And you know who else had this? From the Sahaba, Umar radiallahu anh. He had it so much. Sorry, it's called it begins with a fa. It's like so it's the next level of basira, but you're able to see somebody how they are. So Umar radiallahu anh, somebody was there. Umar radiallahu anh never saw this person before. I said, this person is a magician just by looking at them. And this is a knowledge that Imam al-Shafi'i even went to find. But I forgot the word of it. But essentially, you want those people that you believe are insightful around you. And that's where you can get a lot of help, subhanAllah, in terms of whether this person is right or wrong. But at the end of the day, when it comes to marriage, it's like throwing a dice. You don't know what you're getting. You have to go about it. And that's where the metaphysical reality of Allah being your protector, it comes into play. And you have to seek that counsel with Allah and His blessings as well.
You know what? On that, one thing that it could do, if you're thinking very cynically about marriage and so on and so forth, maybe it creates doubts in your head as to. So, for example, I know someone right now who's in the process of getting married, and he's very cynical in the sense where he's already thinking, well, if this goes wrong, I need this to happen, and this. What advice would you give to that type of person?
So again, as in like he's
To
negative.
the actual person who is having the ill intentions.
Yeah, so everything's going well, but he's waiting for something to go wrong.
That's the worst thing you do. Honestly, because think about it. You're going into a marriage with an exit strategy already. Marriage is a commitment. It's not 5 years, not 10 years. It could be 40, 50 years. It's your whole life together.
Yeah.
And I do believe we have a huge pandemic, you could say, with men being scared of commitment. A lot of men. I've seen brothers, late 20s, early 30s, maybe even going to late 30s, scared of making that commitment. And it's all because of these kind of what's worse, you could even say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The best thing for that person to do is to pray istikhara. Now, what is istikhara? You already mentioned how to do istikhara, right? But what is actually istikhara? People don't actually understand, right? Istikhara itself, people think, just to give you the misconception first, people think it's, okay,
You get a dream.
I've got, not even the signs, right? They think, look, I want to marry this person, so I'm going to pray istikhara. After I've prayed, I'm going to wait for signs, whatever have you, and I'm just going to go with what I'm feeling. Nah, that's not what istikhara is. Istikhara, you're actually asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
the decision.
if this thing is good for me, then make it happen for me. Remove any obstacles from it to allow it to happen. And if it is bad for me, then stop it from happening. You're not asking Allah to still give you the decision. You're saying, Allah, stop it for me. So if that istikhara is made, the bad thing that, it's not going to happen. Does that make sense? So you have to have certainty when you're making that istikhara. You have to have certain belief that this is what's going to happen, because that's what you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for.
فإذا أزمت فتوكل على الله. So when you have made your decision, or when you've then just stick to it.
Yeah.
This wavering, and by the way, to the brothers, the most unattractive thing is that wavering mentality. It's like yes or no, indecisive, yes or no, confidence level up and down. Bruv, just do the thing, and inshallah ta'ala have that tawakkul, as Taha was saying.
I think from a practical sense, you need to put yourself in a position. So, for example, anything in life can go wrong. You can have the most compatible spouses, and they could leave each other for whatever reason. It's your job to ask the right questions. Obviously, first we spoke about having a list of the things that you're looking for and actually reflecting on that list. Are these things actually important? And then once you actually meet the person, ask, or you can phrase questions in the right way to try and find out the information that is actually important and you need to know. And once you've actually put yourself in that sort of in the best position possible, then that's the most that you can do, really. That's
100%. And that leads us to Zawaj Cards. Yeah, 146 conversation starters to make sure you know exactly who you're getting married to. Don't get deceived by these people. Do you know what I mean? Trust me, if you ask enough questions and you have enough conversations with people and not rush that vetting process, you're going to see inconsistencies in these
100%.
people. And when you see those inconsistencies, take them as red flags and go the other way. So do you guys want to pick a card? One card?
Bismillah, man. Bismillah.
You know what's funny? Before you say it, it's always like these cards. It's always surprised me. Every time I pick it, it's something that is relevant to something that we're talking about. So without me knowing what it is, what is it?
Is it actually?
We were already talking about this a little bit already, bro.
Okay.
And it's something that I'm thinking about. In fact, on the train journey here, Taha, we were talking about this, right? We talking about fame and whatnot. So the question is, what is your online presence like, and will it change after marriage?
It's funny.
Zach, you mentioned one of the cases.
This is actually mentioned on this. Was
on
it
this
on
podcast,
this episode?
yeah.
Okay,
I think this episode.
Was it this episode or the previous episode?
The previous one.
Okay, yeah, previous episode. Yeah.
So, what is your online presence like, and will it change after marriage?
That actually is a really good question to ask,
Very
That
good
actually
question.
covers what you.
Yeah. Because let's say, for example, if the sister didn't want somebody that was so well known, and maybe that question is the thing that they can talk about and develop even more. Where it's like, cool, right now you're like this, but will you be wanting to change and so on and so forth?
And vice versa, right?
Yeah.
Like if maybe she's all online and posted everywhere and everyone can see her. But she's like, you know what? After marriage,
I don't want to do this no more.
what you guys think
Risky.
about that? It's
Risky, man.
Yeah, it's risky.
Yeah, because some man could be saving these pictures somewhere, bro. Whatever it is, whatever the sisters do.
No, it's not even that.
Yeah.
She's probably not even gonna. She's gonna. Brother, women love attention, and if she's got online presence, there's no way she's logging off.
Yeah. I mean, as well as that, when it comes to online presence, people sometimes they meet not knowing the other person's social details or social media. So you might actually be having a marriage meeting with someone, no idea that they've got maybe 1 million followers online.
That's
It's a question that's important to ask.
I have seen examples of sisters who were very active online, and then they got off offline completely, or rather they just got like a private account or something like that.
Is that the exception though, or is that?
I think they always come back to it. Men or women that have been online on social media
experienced it.
might take a couple of years, but if they've been on it before, they're probably most likely going to be back.
But it's a dopamine rush, isn't it?
Yeah.
Likes, followers, comments,
And subscribe. Anyway, we'll end the episode there, inshallah ta'ala. As you can hear the bell. Assalamu alaikum. And we'll see you back on another episode of Marriage Stories. Assalamu alaikum.
I was going to hit on something contentious, but like how social media is more dangerous for women than for men.
But you see, when you say stuff like that, that's going to open another 20-minute conversation.
Yeah.